Shalom, this is Levi Shore, and welcome back to Sweet Good Torah. So a little while back, I had this dream, and in the dream, I heard a story, and it's very unusual. I don't think I've ever experienced that before. I heard a story in a dream, and I've been thinking about the dream for the last week or so, and I think it has some of the secrets of Geulah in it. So I'm going to tell you the story first. It's pretty quick, and then I'll try to tell you what I think the story means. So the story is of the two prisoners that were holding a bucket of water. Okay. So there's these two men, and they're wandering through a foreign country, and they don't really know the laws of the country so well. So they inadvertently break some of the laws of the country. The king of the foreign country they're in orders that they would be put in prison, and they're given a really unusual punishment. The king decrees that these two men have to stand together all day holding a bucket of water, and then when night comes, they're allowed to eat and then sleep, and then the next day they return to the activity of holding the bucket of water. So eventually the warden comes to the two men and says that, So at first it's very painful. These two prisoners are holding this bucket of water all day, and it's just grueling and it's painful, and their arms are sore and their body's sore, and they just can't wait for the night where they can eat and just go to sleep again. And slowly over time, these two prisoners become great friends. And they start laughing and joking and telling stories to each other. And all of a sudden, it's not so bad holding the bucket of water. The days start to go very quickly. And they get some enjoyment of holding the bucket of water. So then, one day, the prison warden comes and informs them that one of the men is going to be released very soon. So the other man who's not going to be released, is very angry at his friend. And all of a sudden, he's mad at his friend, and he doesn't feel like talking, and he doesn't feel like joking around with his friend. And it's back to just the struggle and the pain of carrying the bucket of water together. So then the friend that's not going to be released, he realizes that at least when when they were friends, they were joking, they were laughing, they were telling stories, and it made the days go quicker. So even though his friend's going to be released and he's not, he starts to feel happy for his friend, at least that his friend's going to be out of this situation. And they might as well both start, laughing and joking and being friends again, and instead of the suffering. So he decides to forgive his friend, even though the friend's going to be released. And they go back to being close friends, and they're joking and laughing, and then the days start to go by quickly again. So the warden comes and says that the king has summoned them to his palace. So both men are they're given a fresh set. They're bathed. They're given a fresh set of clothes. They're all presentable to stand before a king. And both men come before the king. And the king says, I am going to release you both immediately today, under one condition. And the both men ask, what is it? What do we need to do to be released? And he says, I just want you to continue to be friends, and then you will go free. So what does this story mean? So I think in this story is the essence of a secret of Geulah. So when the men are traveling to a foreign land, I think what that means is the neshama, the soul of a person, comes in from the spiritual world, from the heavens above, and it comes into this physical world. And the physical world is like a foreign land. And what does it mean when they didn't know the laws of the land? So it's interesting. So it says in the Gemara that the baby, when he's in his mom, the mom's stomach, he learns all the Torah. There's a malach, there's an angel that comes, and there's a light put over the child's head, and inside the mother, the child learns all the Torah. And then the angel, right before the child is born, strikes the child right below the nose, and you see that indentation, and then the child forgets the Torah. So I think it means when these men were wandering in a foreign land and they didn't know the law, it means when the soul, when the neshama comes into the world, it forgets all the Torah. It doesn't know the laws. It doesn't know the laws of the world. It doesn't know the Torah and has to relearn that. So these men they weren't expert in some of the laws of the Torah, some of the mitzvos, and they got themselves into trouble. They did avera. So they ended up getting into prison. Now what's the prison? I think the prison represents Geulah, represents the exile. And the men holding the bucket of water, the water is often compared to the Torah. We see, for instance, in Parshat Chazinu, that Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, he compares like different types of rain to the Torah. So we see the water is often compared to the Torah, and these men's job in the world, even in Geulah, is to hold together the Torah. All the Jewish people should hold up the Torah, learning the Torah, doing the mitzvos, and that's the men holding up the bucket of water. Now, what's the secret of Geulah? Why are the men released? All Hashem really wants is Hashem wants, he wants to see, the Jewish people as friends. He hates this sinas chinam, this like hatred for no reason, and this hatred of each other for no reason. That's what causes the Geulah. It's what causes the exile. So Hashem's hoping when He puts us into a foreign land, a real foreign land now, different countries, and we feel like strangers in this foreign land, we'll feel like strangers together, and we'll come back together, and that will bring on the Geulah. Now we just learned during the Seder, and the Yetzias Mitzrayim, the Exodus from Egypt, that what it took is that we were pushed to such a point we cried out to Hashem. And the slavery was so horrible, and one paro, one king died, and then the next king came, and then the next king's decrees were even harsher than the first, and then the Jewish people gave up hope. They saw there was no escape from all this. So their only remedy, their only chance of survival and escape was calling out to Hashem. But I think the secret of all this is that what Hashem also wants, the second thing He wants, is not only does He want us to be friends, but He wants us to be friends with Him. Hashem, what's the whole purpose of Ma'aseh Bereshis? So that we'll have a relationship with Hashem. So we can have, every person can have a deep, personal relationship with Hashem, with this infinite being, this infinite creator. And that the Jewish people as a nation will also have a relationship with Hashem, where finally the Beis HaMikdash, the temple, will be rebuilt in Yerushalayim, in Jerusalem. And then, like, Hashem's Shekinah will literally live, among the Jewish people. And then when all the nations of the world see how we're so connected to Hashem with the Beis HaMikdash, with the temple, and Hashem's living right in our midst, then they'll also, all the rest of the nations will also want a relationship with Hashem. And that's the goal. So does it always have to be that we're in this crushing slavery and things are so bad? I don't think so. I think the secret is that just when we are carrying the water together, and we are laughing, and we're telling stories, and we're learning, and we're doing the mitzvahs, and we're happy with each other, and we want the relationship to Hashem. So Hashem wants our tefillah. He wants us to ask Him for help. He wants us to connect to Him. All the Torah and the mitzvahs are to teach us how to connect to each other and how to connect to Hashem. Then that's the secret. That's when the Geulah happens. And it doesn't maybe have to be this crushing slavery and it has to go to the worst, but just it's our longing to have Hashem in our midst, our longing to have the Beis HaMikdash again, and to be living with the Shekinah again. And maybe that's what it takes. We don't have to go to the worst extreme. We just want to have that relationship with Hashem, and that's the secret of the Geulah. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you back again soon on Sweet Good Torah.